everybody, Sean from Movie Assault here, and it is time once again for another video. This time out, I wanted to finish up the Halloween 15 with two more quick horror reviews, and hopefully my voice sounds a little bit better today. However, if you see me sort of wincing a little bit, I found out that I broke a rib, so things just seem to get better and better here at Movie Assault headquarters. So I'm going to review two movies today. The first one is VHS, and this was released in 2012. This is another anthology film, and I didn't really realize that I had picked two anthology films for the Halloween 15 this year. The first, of course, being Creepshow, and then this being the second. So if you're not in the mood for a 40-year-old plus anthology film for your Halloween party, you might want to try VHS. This consists of 6 stories, including the wraparound, and all of them have the sort of, the gimmick of it is that they're all supposed to be found footage recorded on VHS tapes that are found inside this house. That's the narrative, the wraparound narrative story called Tape 56. I'm not going to summarize every single story in this. I will say that I didn't enjoy this as much as I hoped I would. Of the 6 stories, I found 2 of them to be rather mean-spirited, and I say that with the understanding, that horror movies are full of pretty bad imagery and, gore and murder and stuff like that. And to call a film mean-spirited might sound disingenuous, but it's just the nature of the characters in those 2 stories, and that would be the wraparound Tape 56, and then the other film, other short story called Amateur Night. The characters aren't likable, and what their motivation isn't likable, so I found it really hard to cheer for them or root for them or root against the evil or the monster or whatever it is that they encounter in those particular stories. Like I said, I'm not going to summarize the stories for you. The third story, called Second Honeymoon, I believe, that one I found pretty entertaining. The male character in that is a little borderline, possibly abusive, but it's only hinted at, so I can't really say too much about that. But I did like the story. I thought it was kind of interesting. Tuesday the 17th, again, the characters aren't likable, but it's an interesting story, and the last one, 10/31/98, I really liked that one because at least the characters weren't complete assholes, and I got the feeling that they wouldn't push each other in front of a bus just for a cheap laugh. So those characters were much more easy to root for or cheer for, and the story as such was a little bit more involving. There's another one called The Sick Thing That Happened to Emily When She Was Younger, and that one was an interesting premise. I don't think the acting was very good in it, but it was a very interesting premise. So overall, I was kind of disappointed with VHS. I'll give it a 5 out of 10. It's not terrible, but it's not as good as I would hoped it would be. And the second film I wanted to take a look at today is Evil Dead Rise from this year, 2023. And this one I was really looking forward to because it was produced by Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell and Robert Tapert. And, it got the blessing of the original series producers and director. I wasn't a huge fan of the reboot of The Evil Dead. It was a well-made film, but it kind of missed the charm of the original series, which was a lot of fun and almost sort of I don't want to say campy, but at least sort of a levity, I guess, for lack of a better word, to the film. That, it was humor first and then horror second, but not to the point where it wasn't scary. It's kind of a fine line and a very creative balance that Sam Raimi was able to do. in the original first two Evil Dead films. Army of Darkness, of course, leans much more heavily on the comedy. But Evil Dead 2 is probably one of my favorite horror movies of all time, and an excellent example of what it of the horror comedy genre, what it can be. This kind of continues in the same vein as the reboot of the Evil Dead, or Evil Dead, from 2013. And you've got a woman who lives with her 3 children, and she's a single mother. She's a tattoo artist. Her sister comes to visit her. She is a guitar tech for a touring band, and she thinks she's pregnant. And you think, okay, we're going to get a little bit invested into these characters. But once the Evil Dead are unleashed, unwittingly, by Danny, who is the only male character of note in the film, although there are a couple of other people, other men in the film. He unwittingly unleashes the Evil Dead on this high-rise apartment building that's going to be demolished. And I just found this to be sort of a generic horror film with some nods to the original series and some dialogue that quotes the original series and the previous movie. But I don't know. It was lacking the humor and the charm. So as an Evil Dead film, it's not very successful. It's kind of underwhelming, and just like I said, it lacks the levity of the original films. And just as a stock standard standalone horror movie, it's well made, but it's just a kind of a generic gore fest with some really good special effects, but the characters just aren't that interesting in particular. Even though they start out looking like they're going to be, they're just not. So I'll give this a 6 out of 10. This was also kind of disappointing. Again, not a bad film, just not as good as I would have expected for a film with the Evil Dead name. And, you know, it's just kind of missing what I'm expecting when I see Evil Dead on a film. So 6 out of 10 for Evil Dead Rise, 5 out of 10 for VHS. And that's it for the Halloween 15. Sort of a lackluster year. Only 2 really fantastic films that would have been Dawn of the Dead and Rosemary's Baby, and then Pulse coming up in second place. But, you know, some marginally enjoyable films. I Bury the Living, I really got a kick out of that. And that's all that I can really remember at the moment. So thanks again for hitching a ride with me for the Halloween 15 this year. I apologize that sickness and injury sort of derailed it halfway through, and I had to do these summary type videos, but I appreciate everybody who subscribed recently, and I really appreciate all the support that I've gotten in the last few months. So thank you very much. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe, and I will catch you soon. Thanks for watching. Take it easy.